This is Inside Star Citizen Align and Mine. We are going to react. And right off the bat, Jared's got a brand new mustache. All right, let's go.
The last 4 months have been unlike any in Star Citizen's history, with each one bringing a new patch full of dynamic content, needed bug fixes, and long-awaited quality of life improvements. From December's 4.0, which finally brought our second star system to life, to picking a side in the ongoing fight for Pyro in January's 4.01, then building up the war chest for the continuing battle against the Frontier Fighters in February's 4.02 Supply or Die event, it's been one non-stop adventure in Pyro. But all of that changes when the story shifts back to the Stanton system in Alpha 4.1, with the introduction of new threats, new friends, and new opportunities for action, adventure, and acquisition.
Let's go.
At 4.1, we're actually going to be introducing what we've been calling internally as sort of our B story. In a nutshell, the regen technology, which to this point has basically been allowing people to die and get regen back, the technology begins to fail.
And that's being referred to as the regen crisis.
So it's
okay. So we've been seeing that regen crisis pop up on the little loading screen for 4.0 and 4.1 in the PTU, but this mechanic we haven't actually seen where regenerations are failing. So I guess this is not like the 4.1.0, but maybe will be introduced in 4.1.1. But I am curious to see what they got to say about this.
throwing the Empire into a bit of chaos and confusion because this technology that everybody thought was basically going to conquer death is not as effective as promised.
Now for the player, nothing changes. You can just go about your business and it's business as usual. But for the populace, it's an issue.
So at this point, the Imperator is basically going to start lobbying the Senate to start loosening
Wait, this is a new location. Time out. Sorry, I'm going back. What is this? Where's this at?
Going to start lobbying the Senate to start loosening scientific restrictions on research. One company, Rayari, has put the call out to the population to try to find these sort of very rare minerals to basically bring to their outpost to help fuel their research to help resolve the crisis.
And the way you get those brand new materials is the Align and Mine sandbox activity.
This is the big thing everybody's been excited for and have been
So Align and Mine starts with
PTU.
these new facilities that are placed across 2 planets, Daymar and Aberdeen.
Moons.
These are Hathor-owned locations.
Hathor is sort of an older company. Basically, they were kind of a mining consortium. But as the years were going on, they were doing worse and worse and worse. And so the idea was that Stanton was relatively recently discovered, and the facilities that Hathor built here were basically their last gasp.
The purpose of these facilities was so Hathor could communicate and align with the orbital platform above them.
They went all in on building these facilities in the hopes that it would yield enough minables and minerals that it would keep the company alive. Sadly, they were sort of mistaken and the company folded.
Now that there's a renewed interest in the minerals that they used to mine there, people are going there and trying to get the facilities up and running again.
So I think, so if I'm not mistaken, the Hathor facilities were first introduced in lore with Theaters of War, which was an Arena Commander mode, which never released, but the Hathor locations were, I think, on Nexus originally, or at least for Theaters of War, which I don't know if they're going to talk about this, but they are in Arena Commander. The map is, you can play the original Theater Wars map in Arena Commander in 4.1, but these locations and how they operate and kind of sort of the locations themselves were built for Theaters of War. So now we're seeing them in the PU in Stanton. And didn't they say one in Pyro?
At each of these Hathor locations, there's an alignment dish. And the players have to go around and try to find out how to align the dish towards the satellite.
So while these mining facilities have been abandoned, they are by no means vacant.
Yep.
While you're at the PAFs, you will be contending with Ninetales. Ninetales are just kind of the scavengers, the bad guys. They go everywhere, they just want loot, they want to get rich.
They're just here to basically strip and clean what's left of these defunct stations.
Maybe set up a camp or two and hold it as a sort of strategical point.
And they respawn at a pretty high clip at these locations as well.
Essential that the players search the area as much as they can. I can't stress that enough.
Once you've managed to find all 3 facilities and align them with the orbital platform, you need to collect the power banks that they've left behind on the surface.
Now with the PAFs all activated, it's time to get in your ship and head up to the orbital laser platform.
There are already guys
Be careful
online
because
for this.
there might be some certain Ninetail lieutenants kind of roaming around.
Oh, so the Ninetail lieutenants also have missions. There are new Foxwell FPS missions which will take you to these locations to take out those lieutenants that spawn. But last time I tried it, it was bugged. It wouldn't, if somebody already killed the lieutenant while you were on the way, or maybe they were already dead when you took the mission, I wasn't able to complete it. So I don't know if that's fixed or not, but yeah.
Pretty tough to get in there and to get it going.
The power banks that you would have obtained at the platform alignment facilities need to be inserted into their slots at the orbital laser platform. Players can head inside, fighting through, again, more Ninetails while they try to get to this terminal in the middle. That will charge the laser, and players should see a really cool effect in their environment to signify that this laser is ready to be fired.
So once you've armed the laser and it begins its sort of initiation sequence, you then have to go back down to the surface. Near where the impact is going to be, you'll be able to see this because it will be a crater. There will be a bunker nearby. This bunker is where you will do the final stage, which is firing the laser.
Why are you making people go back down to the surface?
Well, I mean, down on the surface is where the loot is. Like, that's where the treasure is. That's where you're gonna actually get the resources that you came to mine.
Right, for the mission.
It's so much better when you're down on the ground, you hit the button, you see this laser just pull, and there's all this shit going everywhere, and you're like, oh my god. It's an impactful
it is incredible. It is a sight to behold. That is
and there's that emotion of awe we want to inspire, and when we was testing it, the emotion is better captured when you're boots on the ground.
Yeah, the laser looks cool.
This sounds
pretty
really
much
chaotic.
at like all times.
We
a
haven't
day.
even touched on the worms yet.
There's a reason why Hathor abandoned these facilities. There's some local fauna that's not too happy when the ground gets disturbed.
Yeah.
So make sure you're prepared.
So we've been working on the Valakar for a while now, and we're really excited to finish off that boss fight and bring it to everybody as soon as possible. But in the process of developing it, we've also got some smaller Valakar.
Yeah,
Valakar are a
juveniles.
tremendously invasive species. Basically, once they kind of get into an area, they propagate rather quickly and can become a very dangerous presence.
Fighting a juvenile is fairly similar to the adults on a much smaller scale.
Because they come up from the ground submerged, they can surprise the player in the way that they come up behind them or can attack them from areas where they don't expect.
The Valakar will also fight the other Ninetails at the location if you've managed to find a way to let them be in each other's presence.
Yeah.
So
they
it's going
fight
to be you
everything.
against other players, against other Ninetails, against other worms?
Yeah, real Mexican standoff.
They haven't introduced the adults in this phase. It's
So when the
only
lasers
juveniles.
finish firing, it will have mined into the surface of this planet, which will reveal
And-
a cave network.
And this is why the GL was created, was for
Inside
this
this
cave network.
cave are 3 new mineable types. It's a fight for whoever can get.
So like initially before they introduced the Geo, the one time that we actually got to test the Geo, the people were trying to get the Rock DS. Well, not the Rock DS, the standard Rock. Nobody had a Rock DS. Well, anybody do that? In the PT, we were trying to get the Rock down into the cave, and it was problematic because it's not designed to drive into the cave, and it's got a really steep drop off. So you had to like tractor the Rock into the hole, and then then you'd have to tractor it out. But the Rock, or not the Rock, the Atlas Geo, because it has those jump jets, it can jump down into the hole, mine, and jump and get itself out. So it's a lot easier to traverse a space like a cave in the Atlas Geo than a Rock can do it. Like the Rock is really designed for like surface mining, and the Geo is a little bit more versatile because of these jump jets.
The goods out of that cave as fast as possible and as safely as possible. We are in Stanton, so if you're gonna fight some other players, beware of crime stats.
Then you get to choose, do you want some interesting random loot from the collector, or do you want to just get credits?
Let's help the human race. Let's help the human race.
Yeah. Help the human race and make some bank.
While this is happening, Stanton System actually has an exciting new resident. We've introduced our first Banu. His name is Wicklow.
Wicklow! My guy.
Wicklow is also offering a counter mission to the minerals that Rayari is looking for. So if you don't want to sell them off to Rayari to help with the regen crisis,
You can take
Wicklow is offering some sweet, tasty items in exchange for the same materials.
Here you go. Bring chip in.
Wicklow recently retired, Banu equivalent of retirement, from a fabrication facility in the Banu Protectorate. He loves people, he loves humans, so he decided to move to human space and set up sort of a fabrication shop / trading site location for players to go visit, and basically he can kind of make you some cool stuff if you bring him what he needs.
This
One of
is
the things
very cool.
with the Banu was they always try to be the least threatening thing in the room. I always equate them to sort of the golden retriever of our aliens. So they're everybody's friend until they're not.
Wicklow's Emporium, there are 3 of them in different areas of Stanton. You'll be able to find these on your star map. This is where Wicklow is set up shop. The unique thing about Wicklow is he'll never pay you any money because he's got a load of shit in his warehouse that he'd rather give you instead.
The collector offers everything from armor pieces to skins to weapons.
Really pretty, yes. Solid build, but also fun to make.
And other cool little surprises.
Even spaceships.
Even spaceships, big ones.
Yeah, that's...
I'm incredibly excited. It is quite a defining moment for a space game to finally get an alien.
After 13 years.
And the best thing about Wicklow is, as we keep moving and building out this universe, his presence will stay. You will keep needing to interact with him. He'll keep needing random things from you. So you better make good friends with him.
That's good. I like that, to hear that.
4.1, we're finally able to deliver some content that we've been working on for a while.
I think that the experience of the whole thing is really cool, and I think
Wow,
that
so much
it's
time
a
left.
really, really big step forward for us on the mission design team, making content for the future, that we are able to create events that use mission logic but don't require missions.
Yeah.
It's fun to be able to kind of like explore a little bit and not just have everything kind of spoon-fed to you. And it also mixes a little bit of everything, right? We have the FPS and we have a little bit of ship combat up by the orbital platform, and of course even creature fighting. So it's got a nice spectrum of things that you can do.
I like the fact that we're building more of the story out of what this world is, how the universe is created, how these companies have operated in it, and giving you more fun sandbox things to do that require you to be the explorer that you want to be in a space game.
And with 4 patches in as many months, the introduction of a new ongoing persistent sandbox with a line in mind, the arrival of our persistent universe's first non-human character, a new system for acquiring rewards, brand new mining vehicles, and the beginning of a second ongoing narrative that's threatening the lives of NPCs everywhere. And no, I've seen the post. It's not Death of a Spaceman, not yet, or not soon. We're playing a really long game here. It's an exciting time for Star Citizen, and one that we're all super excited to share with you. So for Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. As always, thanks for letting us share the people and process of game development with you, and we'll be right back here in just a few weeks with even more looks at the future of our persistent universe.
All right, is there anything at the end? Oh, there is more at the end. Oh, okay, cool. Never mind. Never mind. Tessa Bannister. Free Tessa. Wait, what the hell is that? What? Oh yeah, okay, never mind. That's hilarious. That was great. Okay, so there's a lot. Wow, that was 13 minutes. There was a lot said, and then there was a lot that wasn't, which is interesting because at these locations, so the Hathor facilities do not. It's not a, like they said, it's not a mission set. There's several missions that will take you to these locations. The main story, obviously, for Rayari, which is where you need to mine the material, but you've also got Wicklow, who needs the same material, that you can take the material to him. He'll give you favors, and once you accrue a certain number of favors, then he can craft you things. So you got that. He like they said, he doesn't pay you any money, but he does give you favors, and you can turn those favors in for certain items that he can craft for you. The story missions with Rayari, the material that they need can only be found at these locations as well. Once you open up the once you fire the laser, you go down to the cave. After a certain time period, the cave will collapse or cover itself and reset, or it's supposed to. Sometimes it doesn't. But if you're down there when it covers you, it kills you. So you got to be careful. You are time limited. You have to get in there, mine, and get out if you want to get out of there safely. The facility is all three of the locations are basically covered with loot. Like all of the buildings at all three satellite dishes have loot. It's kind of like a contested zone. There are grade A and grade B components there. There are rare weapons. You can get a Volt rifle there. There's tons of rare loot in those containers. So, and then you also have Foxwell enforcement FPS missions that take you to these locations as well to take out VIPs or Ninetale VIPs at either the orbital station, or they have kill all missions where you've got to go down to the mining area and eliminate all of the NPCs that are at that location in a certain number of like in a certain time window. Like the NPCs will respond over time if you do not clear those buildings fast enough, which makes it very difficult to do those missions by yourself. So you do need at least, I'd say, 2 to 3 people to do the Foxwell missions so that you can effectively clear those rooms in fast enough time, so that the NPCs don't respond before you can get the percentage down to 0. Because there's not a certain number of NPCs you have to kill. You have to go from 100% to 0% for the mission to complete. So, and you do get notifications as they spawn, that they're spawning in. The Wicklow also has the missions that he gives you also require other materials that aren't at the facility, so it is a little exploration involved there. Like he needs Tundra Copion horns, So do Rayari. Like there are missions that you can do as part of the event, this regen crisis, that do not require you to go to these locations. But it's cool to see that CIG add a location that has a variety of content taking you to that location. So, you know, groups of players will be there, but they may be there for different reasons. Some people are going to be there trying to get stuff to get to Wicklow. Some people will be trying to complete missions for Rayari. Some for Foxwell. There will be opportunities for PvP because, like, resource scarcity. Like, people are going to be fighting over resources at some point. So like it's a different type of location. It's kind of like a contested zone, but it's more open world. It's kind of like it's almost like a world. It's like a global world boss type of event where, like in traditional MMOs, like there's certain locations where, you know, it'll be mission content. There'll be, there's loot there. People go there on their own because they're looking for certain items. They're not even there for a mission. Some people are, some groups are there, organizations. So it is a pretty big free for all. The only difference is you are risking a crime stat if you, of course, kill other players. So I wouldn't be surprised to see comm networks go down once this goes live, around the moons. Like it's going to be, it's a player versus all location, and it's very exciting. This is probably one of the more content dense patches that we've gotten in a long time. There's a lot that they didn't cover, and I'm pretty sure they didn't because they want players to go out there and play the patch and discover a lot of this stuff for yourself. So outside of what I've just said, which is a lot, there's still more. I'm very excited for this patch. If you can't tell, if this is indicative of what type of content that we're going to get this year, then we're going to have a pretty good year content wise. As long as CIG can continue to improve on stability and playability, performance improvements, harden server meshing, reduce the number of bugs, you know, that can really hinder gameplay, and then also do things that make it easier for players to play together, bro. I think we're going to have a really, really, really solid year, but that's all. This was a great ISC. Looking forward to this patch. I see the message of the day says we're getting another PTU build tonight. So it's very possible this will be release candidate 3. So very possible, depending on how early we get it. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but you know, there's a possibility if we get it early enough today, it'll be in the PTU for a few hours and then it'll release to live a few hours later. Or what's likely to happen is that the patch will maybe get hot fixed tomorrow if there are any issues, and then it'll get released to live. Either way, you will get a notification from CIG on when they intend to release the patch, so that you got time to go make sure all your ships are stored, make sure that you retrieve your refinery orders if you can, finish any of the supplier die events, because supplier die does end with this going live. So yeah, that's it. That's all I have. I don't want this video to be super long. This is a 13-minute video. I'm not sure where we are at time wise, but 24 minutes. So yeah, without further ado, as I always say, peace, love, blessings, and may the force be with you always.